Hi, my name is China Kinsky, and you're watching PhilippineNews.com.
Made for all of us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so my name is Kevin Clifford. I'm a senior meteorologist here at PG&E. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for the organizers for inviting me. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about El Nino, really kind of level set in terms of what El Nino actually is and what the expected impacts are for this upcoming winter. Then talk a little bit about what our group, PG&E Meteorology, is doing to help prepare the organization for the upcoming winter. All right. So first off, when talking about El Nino, it's important to understand what normal conditions are. And it's easily explained here with a kind of complicated looking graphic. But basically, this is a projection of the Pacific Ocean, with North America here located on the right-hand side, South America here, Indonesia right here, as well as Australia. So under normal conditions, we see a easterly trade wind that develops along the equator, traveling from South America towards Indonesia. And these colors here that are kind of over the Pacific Ocean basin are ramping from blue to red through green, which is normal. So under normal conditions, we see these easterly winds, which actually exhibit somewhat of a force, and it pushes the warm surface water towards Indonesia. And when we get that body of warm ocean water that's sitting over on the western side of the Pacific, it's where the convection is located. It's where thunderstorms or large clouds develop and see lots of precipitation. So this is why areas over there have lots of rainforest and high annual precipitation. Now during El Nino events, we actually see those winds relax. So the easterly winds traveling from east to west either go away or reverse. And when we get that, the ocean water actually retrogrades, and we see the warm surface temperature move back towards the central Pacific or even towards the eastern end of the Pacific. Now where that warm water goes, so do the clouds and so do the convection. So we have thunderstorms that will develop over that area, and that has an overall effect on circulation in the atmosphere. So as that moves towards the central and eastern Pacific, we see more rain in that area, and we actually see an alteration of the jet stream across the northern Pacific. So it kind of has a wave effect across the atmosphere, and it changes where we see the jet stream move. Normally, it moves through British Columbia and Washington, but kind of during El Nino conditions, we see it move more towards California, more towards the Bay Area or even Southern California, and has effects on the storm activity across the southern tier of the United States. There's lots of talk about the different strengths of El Nino and kind of comparing them to past events to see like, well, this El Nino we're expecting to be very strong, and this one's not that strong, and trying to figure out exactly what that means and how we're ranking these. Well, it's actually an approximation of sea surface temperatures on a monthly basis in a region we call region 3.4. And so really when we talk about the strength, we're really talking about how much above normal sea surface temperatures are in that region. Looking over the past 65 years or so, we can see here's the trend in monthly average temperatures between 1950 and 2015. So 1950 is when we started actually studying El Nino as a science and kind of understanding its effects. So we don't have numbers before then, but you can see there's lots of events that have happened below and above normal. Anything below the normal line is considered a La Nina event, and anything above the normal line is considered an El Nino event. And we can rank these on strength. So first, starting at about a ½ degree above normal, they're considered a weak event. And then ramping up to about 1.5 degrees is strong, and then over 2 degrees is very strong. So in the past 65 years, we've had 3 events that have ranked at very strong El Nino conditions. We had 1972-73, 1983-84, and 1997-98. And for those of you who were in the Bay Area during those times, you can remember we saw lots of precipitation during those events. And so there is a correlation between the strength of an El Nino and the actual effects it has on California weather. And you kind of need to be in this top tier to really have those correlations hold true. So where does the winter for this upcoming winter 2015-2016 stand? Well, comparing the current forecast as well as the observations of the past couple months shown here in this line in red to the past strong events, we can kind of get a flavor of what some approximate conditions might be. So this black line here represents 1997-98. The green line here shows us what happened in 72-73. Red line again is this year. And then the other ones are showing us other strong El Nino events. And when kind of looking at this holistically, we see that the current year projection looks to be slightly weaker than 97-98, stronger than 72-73, which is showing a similar life cycle. That means that the warming happened and declined at a similar trend. All the other events show different life cycles, different magnitudes, And so when trying to find the right proxy for the upcoming year, it's really these two that hold through, that are as the best approximation as to what we saw during those winters as what could happen during this upcoming winter. To summarize it in a word, stormy weather is expected for California. When we have very strong El Nino conditions, really what it does is it breaks the jet stream into two. We have a northern branch that travels up through British Columbia down through the east coast, and then a sustained southerly one that travels through California, really through Southern California, and brings more storm activity to our service territory. So this can focus everywhere from the Bay Area south, where we have lots of precipitation, windy conditions, and it's not one single storm. El Nino is more of a pattern than an individual event, and so we see more consistent storm activity. So it's not very strong ones, but it's just kind of a more week in, week out wet pattern. Current guidance is suggesting that we're going to have above normal precipitation across California. So looking at this map here, the white color here is normal, then we have green slightly above and blue above normal, and that's basically more than 130% precipitation across the course of the year. Now a lot of people say, well, that's long season there, that's 4 months. What is going to happen? When are we going to start to see the effects of El Nino? And typically people phrase this question as, when will El Nino arrive? Well, El Nino actually never arrives. As we illustrated before, it's a sea surface temperature measurement in the equatorial Pacific. So it's the impact, or it's the effects from El Nino that come to our door. And so I like to correct that. And to be completely honest, truthfully, no one actually knows when El Nino is going to show up, other than it is expected to develop during this winter season. So as we go into the winter season, we'll see a pattern develop of kind of consistent storm activity. And it'll take a week or two until we kind of see that this pattern has established itself. And is it going to continue for the next several weeks that we can say with some confidence that El Nino is happening? So you kind of have to be in it to know it. But you can understand that it is on its way, or the impacts of El Nino are expected to come to California during this winter season. So in 2015 and 2016, if it is to end up like the 97-98 event, the most prevalent effects of El Nino were during the months of January and February and even March. So looking at our guidance and seeing that we're kind of on that similar track, that's the current expectation, is during the mid and late winter that's when we'll see the most impact from El Nino and the highest above normal precipitation. So what is our group doing to help address this issue, and how are we helping PG&E to plan for El Nino? Well, I can say honestly that we're more prepared for this El Nino than we have been for any El Nino in our past history. We've taken on an initiative to kind of educate and help prepare the company, talking to them over the course of these lead-up months to the winter season, understand what the impact could be for PG&E in different areas like the Bay Area or the Central Coast or Northern region or Central Interiors. And that's just kind of the lead-up. But when we get to the actual day-to-day operations, we do a storm outage modeling. And so we go in and we figure out what the impact of the impending storm will be. And that's everything from volume of outages caused by the storm, the timing in which those outages could occur, as well as the location. And all this kind of helps to hone in exactly where to pre-position our resources and help turn the lights back on at a quicker rate. So by having this kind of knowledge and putting it up on a map and showing like, okay, well, this is where the current storm is expected to impact PG&E the worst, we can help kind of the organization prepare and address this in turn. So to summarize all these points, El Nino is abnormal warming in the Pacific Ocean. And when we're in the warm phase of El Nino, the pattern of tropical convection is altered, which in turn affects the jet stream here in California, or bringing the jet stream to California. And current suggestions are saying that El Nino will be very strong for this year, or in that kind of above 2 degrees above normal range for sea surface temperatures. And when we have those types of conditions, it means above normal precipitation for California. Now, our group is helping prepare our organization for this impending winter, and we will be helping out on a day-to-day basis to kind of overall assist with operations.